Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Bert's World Podcast. I'm here with my roommates that I met during my time at Conagra. But we're still in the middle of our process, getting our final presentations done. But now is a better time than ever to get to know these guys. So introduce yourselves, say your name, what school you go to, and what's your major.
Okay, hello. My name is Corbin. I go to Texas A&M University, and I'm a master's student of economics.
My name is Pratik. I go by Tiki. I'm at Purdue doing industrial engineering.
My name's Sai. Go to the University of Virginia. I double major in sustainability and business.
Very cool. As you can see, we have a diverse panel today. So the first thing, we are pretty diverse, aren't we?
Yeah, both
Not
in
just
terms of
major,
majors, yeah, but also
everything. We're also from different parts of the country, so Miami, and then we also have Texas, Chicago, despite going into Purdue, and Virginia. Wait, is Purdue in Chicago?
No, Purdue's in Indiana.
Good. Okay. So, first question I want to ask is, what's your school culture like? If you can sum it up in 1 to 2 sentences. I'll give you a minute to think. You don't have to say it off the bat, but we'll start on Sai's side.
Oh, perfect. I would say very much kind of like the work hard, play hard type of culture. Like definitely take academics very seriously, especially for a state school. But then like weekends, everyone goes out. Like it's still very much like a party school.
For Purdue, it's kind of different. So it's very split between engineers and non-engineers. I go to a very engineering-focused school. So the engineers usually just kind of take the weekdays and just study nonstop, and then the weekends we go out, have fun, and then everyone else just kind of goes out whenever they feel like it. So it's very split, but people do work hard. I mean, you kind of have to, especially at Purdue. So.
And A&M's kind of interesting in that it's very rooted in tradition. A&M's a super school culture kind of university experience, what with our football games. We have different yells that we memorize, all kinds of different traditions that are taking place in and out of the classroom and around College Station as a city.
Now that you've been there for a little while at your schools, what advice would you give to someone who's applying to your school to up their chances of getting in?
So A&M being that kind of culture-centric school, there's a lot of kind of get out there and go get it attitude in ways that are like, if you're very outgoing, you will do very well at A&M. If you're willing to kind of accept the traditions and really, for lack of a better term, full send it.
Shut up now.
Yeah. So if you're willing to go and full send it on these traditions that you might not have ever heard of before you move to College Station for college, then I kind of forgot where I was going there. But just be outgoing, be willing to kind of embrace the traditions of Texas A&M, and you'll do just fine.
So, Purdue's still very much a public school, but if I'm assuming it's kind of still split between STEM and non-STEM. But I guess my best advice is do a bunch of stuff not exactly related to your major, but related to what you want to do. So if you want to go into aerospace is huge at Purdue. We have we've had 6 astronauts, I think the number is, come out of our school, including Neil Armstrong. If just do projects that you want to do that are related to what you want to pursue as a degree or a job.
Yeah, kind of echoing what Tiki said. Besides being from Virginia, which makes your chances go up a lot to get into the University of Virginia because it's a state school, but also just kind of find the thing that makes you unique and kind of just dive into it. Really pursue that one thing. I remember when I was applying to schools, they kind of talk about being well-rounded, but it's better to have a spike. You want to be well-rounded, but then have that one thing that kind of sets you apart. What's going to make you stand out.
I like that advice. I feel like that's pretty true across all schools. If you're well-rounded but average in most things, I don't think you you really stand out as an applicant despite being like, I don't know, secretary in a whole bunch of clubs, you know?
Yeah.
They have one crazy hobby, like you fly airplanes or something. I don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah, I actually know a few people. We have a flight school at Purdue.
Right.
And one
So
of my-
actually talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, actually, one of my really close friends is like pro flight right now. I actually have two close friends that are pro flight. And before going in, they both have flown planes before they started like the program at Purdue. And it's a really interesting program because it's still like a 4-year degree, but it's for like a professional like pilot or something like that. Again, I don't really know too much about it, but I did know that they were more interested in that sort of stuff. So that's the kind of stuff that they did in high school leading up to it.
Yeah, and it also makes your like application essay so much more exciting. Instead of talking about your leadership position in a club, you're talking about how you hiked the Appalachian Trail or
Yeah.
flew a plane or something that's like a
Like
lot.
something that's way outside
Yeah.
of the box. Something
Exactly.
that like both you have done and something the interviewers haven't.
Yeah.
Yeah, like my application thing, I talked about how I made a prosthetic in one of my classes in high school, just because it was one of our
What?
projects, and I felt like it. Yeah,
You made a prosthetic?
I made a prosthetic. It was
Cool.
for a second grade girl. She
Oh,
was
someone
Like,
someone actually used
used
this.
this.
Yeah, someone
Like,
used
Oh,
it.
do you have like a picture of?
I
of,
don't
like,
have
of,
a
like, the
picture,
girl?
but it was like a little
arm, leg?
competition we had in one of our engineering classes. It was an engineering design class. So while we were like doing our own separate project, trying to come up with a proof of concept for this was a side project. So a little girl was missing like kind of elbow down from her arm, and she wanted to play the recorder with her friends like in class, like music class. So we designed an attachment for the recorder and a kind of attachment for like I forgot what it's called, but whatever like goes on like that part of her arm, and we could just, like screw in like a 3D printed like piece, so she could like push upwards, and it will close the holes on the recorder. And she actually like tested it out and loved it. Like she actually ended up using it in her class.
Any other application stories that you guys want to tell?
I mean, not really along those lines.
Like
It was a pretty
like
cool
shit.
project.
No, like I didn't build a prosthetic or teach like an immigrant how to speak English or something. But like,
Yeah.
no, mine was more about I lived abroad growing up, and so kind of tying that back in to my love for travel and sustainability. So it kind of like taking that thing that makes you stand out and tying it back into what you want to do.
For me, I was in ROTC in high school. So, yeah, some people aren't sure of what that is. It stands for Reserve Officer Training Corps. And that was the high school version, so it was junior ROTC. But I think for me, that just got me set up kind of a little bit earlier into my life into maybe taking potential leadership roles or, I don't know, kind of taking command over several other people. And hopefully hopefully that'll translate into this role that I'm applying for while I'm here. Yeah.
Actually, speaking on that, I think because I am in the process of trying to get into leadership roles, and I did not realize how strong having an army or military background is for that. I've been stalking people on LinkedIn recently, and a lot of people who are like in those positions or people that I've met end up having like that military background. So if any of you out there want to be in like a management or leadership role later in life and you're in like high school or something right now, I would strongly encourage doing JROTC or ROTC when you get into college. But we'll move on to another topic. Tell the people about highlight experiences that you've had at your respective colleges. And we'll start on that side.
All right, so the University of Virginia, it's in Charlottesville, which is kind of in like Western Virginia. It's right by Shenandoah National Park. And so just what I love doing, and I found myself like getting really involved in outdoors clubs, and just since we're so close to such like beautiful nature, just going out with friends, hiking and camping within Shenandoah, I think has been a really cool experience. And then I think like on grounds, so UVA, I guess like Texas A&M, we're an older school, and so we have some like quirks. We call it grounds instead of campus. It's just, and we're first, second, third, and fourth years instead of freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors. It's just like little things that I think have stuck around pretty much since Thomas Jefferson started the university. Um, there you go. But yeah, just like on grounds, I've really enjoyed how diverse I've been able to like. I would say the school itself isn't super diverse, but you're able to find and create those kind of pockets, and so that's been something special. I feel like you can kind of find what interests you since it's a larger state school, and then kind of pursue that. And so I got involved in a club called Growing for Change, where we build raised bed gardens for public housing residents in the Charlottesville area. And so that was a really cool experience, just being able to take kind of a club and give back to the community that I'm living in.
Yeah, I mean, Purdue is also, kind of an older school. I think we just celebrated 150 years kind of recently. But we have, I mean, besides like campus and like the city that's right next to campus, there's not too much to do in the area, which is interesting. But it's also kind of cool because you can just kind of drive 30 minutes out, which is what me and a couple friends did. We just drove 30 minutes out at like 10 p.m. and went to go see stargazing like in the middle of a random field, and where you're like, there's no city, nothing around, so you could actually see the stars, and it was pretty cool. But a lot of like my experiences really revolve around like meeting a bunch of like you said, like diverse people, different kinds of people. Like I joined a fraternity, and I met a ton of different people just in that. I met a ton of different great people too.
For me, some of my most memorable experiences at A&M come from a lot of the football games. So I'm not sure how big into college sports all of your viewers are, but I don't know, being one of the bigger SEC schools, in my opinion, down in the South, we get pretty hectic down there. Kyle Field, which is A&M's stadium, holds, I believe, 124,000 students. And it gets real loud in there. We've got a cannon that goes off every time we score. We've got all kinds of yells and chants depending on how we're doing, how the other team's doing, if we like what the ref said or not, things like that. And I think if you're interested, I would look it up because it's actually quite interesting when every person in the stadium is doing the same thing or yelling the same chants. I don't want to like compare it to Disney, but it's a magical experience. And I think that's probably experience number one for me at A&M.
And I would say even to viewers that aren't that into sports, I would encourage you to go to sporting events at whatever university you end up at. I think it's a great way just to kind of feel like the culture of the school you're at, and just
Purdue,
meet people. And
Purdue especially has like, we're not like, besides our basketball team, I guess we're not like insanely good at sports, but feeling the camaraderie between everyone there and like actually being at the arena, it's a really different feeling, and it feels great. Like it's a lot of fun.
Sai, you recently went to study abroad. Mind speaking a bit about your time, where you went, and why you went there?
yeah, so this past semester I left actually right before New Year's. I spent New Year's Eve and New Year's in the Turkish International Airport in Istanbul. So that was fun. I was sitting at a bar by myself. So like I've kind of I've said I'm gonna remember this New Year's forever. Maybe not because it was the most fun, but it was definitely like a very memorable experience. But yeah, I went to Singapore. I was there until mid-May. It's a very different culture there, I would say. They take their school and their studies very seriously. It's a pretty small island. It's about 45. You can drive it in 45 minutes and end to end. And so on weekends, most local students will go home to their families and use that as a time to like rest up, study up, eat dinner with their family. It's not kind of like the culture where you go to class during the week and then go out and party on the weekends. Like when you're in school and classes are in session, you are studying, you are taking it seriously. And to me, that was kind of a draining a draining way to go through a semester of college. And so I found myself gravitating towards other exchange students there to get a better balance of being there, not just to take classes, but also to meet people and create these memories and experiences, exploring a new country, a new city. And that's why I went abroad. Like I said earlier, I lived in Germany growing up, and I've always kind of been chasing that experience of living somewhere new and just meeting new people, experiencing a new culture. And so going into college, I knew I always wanted to study abroad, and it was kind of derailed a bit because of COVID. And so this was the first experience, first chance I really had to be able to go. So I was glad it came before my 4th year of college, so I could take advantage of it.
So we're gonna move away from college and talk about our internships. But have any of you had one before Conagra? And would you like to speak about that? We'll start with Corbin this time.
Okay. So I have had a past internship, but Conagra would be my first kind of Fortune 500 company where I'm working for a bigger firm. But to talk about my last internship, I was working for a small civil engineering company in Houston. I'm probably not going to name drop them just in case, but it was like an Asian-led civil engineering company, which meant that we were fighting for contracts in Houston for like the Asian diverse law that we have there. So Houston's very strange in the way that they give out contracts. They have to kind of meet certain diverse requirements so that they're not giving contracts away to only certain races or anything like that. Not that I think that would be a problem, but in that experience it was I don't know, it was more of a standard internship compared to Conagra, where here they kind of have high expectations from you and they give you the freedom to do things, where back in this company I was literally getting Chick-fil-A for some of the employees, doing driving, doing deliveries, filling out contact information. That was a pretty typical internship in my opinion. I did get some cool experience. They let me design some metro bus stops in Houston, so that was kind of cool. I think that about answered the question. Yeah.
I also had an internship, but I don't know if you could really call it that, honestly. Um, I worked for I think it's still like a Fortune 500 company, just like Conagra, but it's a big pharmaceutical company as opposed to like a big food company like we're doing now.
Speak up a bit.
Okay. But the company was going through a merger at the time, which is why I had little to no work to do, and I was also fully remote despite living 20 minutes away from the office. So I kind of just logged on, did whatever work I had to do for the day in like 2 hours, and then spent the rest of the day either like in meetings or watching Netflix just from my home. So I didn't really learn a lot and I didn't really do a lot. So I'm kind of happy that I got an internship here at Conagra where I'm on the floor every day. I'm actually doing stuff and feel like I'm contributing. So that's always nice.
Yeah, my last internship last summer was at a small e-commerce company, and it was also fully remote. And I value this experience this summer so much more, just because we're in person and able to meet other interns. I mean, I have 3 roommates here, and just meeting everyone else in this building, and then being able to meet people in office and network that way, I feel like you're able to make much more lasting connections. And so that's definitely made this summer better.
And so we'll start talking about our current internship. Just speak about what you're doing, and then how you think that'll help you in whatever future endeavors you have planned.
Cool. So I'm working under the supply chain sustainability team. So sustainability at Conagra, I would say, is still a growing part of the organization. And so it's split into 2 teams currently. One is more focused on external sustainability, more the reporting and the metrics, talking to investors, talking to suppliers. I'm on the team that focuses more internally. So we're working with the plants to help them meet sustainability goals and more like internal, some goal setting, really just trying to help reduce greenhouse gas emissions that occur due to our manufacturing processes, and also reducing waste and water usage. And this has been a really interesting view into that part of sustainability, because I've always thought I would be focused more on the external investor facing side, but really seeing how to make Fortune 500 companies more sustainable in terms of a manufacturing company that has a lot of emissions and a lot of waste. It's been great exposure into the real task at hand. And so I think it'll be very valuable experience, even if I end up going into more investor, external facing sustainability work, because I'll be able to speak better to what it actually takes.
Okay. Interesting that you say that, because a lot of times, and I'm looking at social media for this, a lot of times you see, oh, it's so easy to be sustainable. Like, why aren't companies doing X or Y? So in your experience so far, is being sustainable easy? And are you starting to see why it's such a slow move into that space?
I think a lot of it is culture. It's a mindset within the company. It's dedicating the resources and funding and money to where it could be going to make these sustainable changes, and rather than where it's currently going. So like it is going to take time, and some of that is to do with how difficult it is, but mostly it's how difficult it is to shift the culture within a company. I was talking with someone and they said sustainability today is like safety about 30 years ago. If you look at safety manufacturing, like OSHA is still pretty new, and like safety being embedded into everyday culture is something that has happened within the past 20 years or so. And so people see sustainability taking that similar trajectory, where it's going to take a while for it to be fully embedded, but it's like starting to move in that direction.
And now we'll move on to Teak about with what he's doing, and how it'll benefit him in the future.
Yeah. So unlike the other three people here, my internship is at a plant. So I'm actually at a frozen food plant where we make, it's kind of TV meals. So like Marie Callender, Bird's Eye, stuff like that. So I work in quality, and quality's job is kind of a little, I don't know, I think it's a little different than how other places do it. So we do sanitation, actual quality. We just do a little bit of everything to make sure that the meals actually get packaged properly, palletized properly, and shipped properly. And if anything goes wrong during the process of when the meals get made, packaged, and shipped, we're the people who kind of have to either fix that issue or determine whether it's still okay to be sold or not. So a couple of the issues that we deal with are, like if a piece on the machine line breaks and falls into a batch of food, what do we do then? How do we get the pieces out? And is that food still, well, we're probably going to end up throwing it away or DDDing it. But that's just kind of what we do.
By the way, DDD is basically like destroying it or getting rid of it.
I forgot what the actual
Or
thing is.
donating it.
Destroy, donate,
donate.
I forgot what the third one is, but it's either
Damaged, donated, or destroyed.
that it. Okay.
Basically, it's just getting rid of it. We can't use it. If it's DDD, it's unusable, and it is basically just waste product.
Yeah, so it's up to us to decide whether how much we waste, and kind of do a little analysis on when the incident happened and stuff like that.
Okay. So I'm a procurement intern, also under supply chain. So kind of if you want to look at supply chain as a line, I'm right here. I'm step number 1. And basically what that entails, or what my boss does, I would say, is he goes out and he's talking to vendors and producers of core of
No way he does it on.
Yeah.
that's okay.
All right, edit it out.
No.
Nah, keep that shit
keep
in.
that in. Should I start from the top or should I just sweet? Basically what procurement does is we're going and we're buying the raw materials. So in the case of core vegetables, broccoli, cauliflower, corn, peas, carrots, beans, for use in, say, Marie Callender meals or things like that. Just whatever we need, we are acquiring the first pieces, the raw materials in procurement. And from me as an intern, what my project is I'm collaborating with both our vendors on the procurement side as well as transportation and logistics to kind of reduce our transportation costs between wherever our vendor is and wherever our plant is. And okay, so the second part of that question was how does that kind of affect what I want to do in the future, right? So when I guess in my college experience, I'm very unsure of what exactly I want to be doing. So I don't know how detailed you get in your previous podcast, but Albert seems to have a pretty great idea of what he wants to do. I do not have such a great idea of what I want to do, so I'm out here trying to get interesting experience. I don't kind of just trying to see I don't want to say see the world, but see what jobs are available and what career path I would like to go on. So that's why I'm kind of appreciating this internship, because even though I'm a procurement intern, I'm working with several other spaces at the same time.
And I haven't really spoken much on what I've been doing here at Conagra. I'll probably be doing a more detailed episode later, but yeah, right now I'm working on one of their brands, Chef Boyardee, helping to just help with how much things cost on the processing side and on the ingredient side. So that's pretty much my job. I hope it goes well by the end of the summer. Another element to our internship is we do have a pretty massive presentation at the end of it, where we're reporting what we learned, how we helped the company, and that's going to be a real interesting time. So yeah, what's life going to be like after college? Do you have, it doesn't have to be a plan, but something that you want to do?
So while I've been here at Conagra, I'm also kind of pursuing a second interest that I have for Cintas, the uniform people, I think is what their slogan is. But I started talking to them in February after I got this internship because I knew I'd be looking for full-time opportunities after I graduate in December. So, but basically I'll graduate in December with a master's degree of economics, a bachelor's degree of economics, and a minor in business. And once I leave, I wanted to make sure I kind of had something already set up that I've been working on so that when I leave college, I can go ahead and start working on my career, whether that be making money, making moves in kind of a leadership experience in a company, or kind of getting that experience so that I can know what it is I want to do. And Cintas has a rotational program that I'm applying for that it's almost a rotational program. They call it a management trainee position. And basically they put you in 3 different positions for 6 months each. There's a sales rotation there, and then there's 2 kind of on the floor positions, basically where you're working the line, or you're driving trucks, or you're going door to door. Basically you're doing kind of like the back-breaking labor almost, for lack of a better term. And the point behind this is so that they want to develop leaders and managers who have actually done the jobs of the workers that they would be managing. And that's the kind of position I want to be in after college.
Just real quick, if there's anyone out there that does not understand or know what they want to do so far, I think rotational programs out of college are pretty powerful.
See, I'm kind of the opposite of where Corbin is. I'm graduating in May, but I have no idea what I want to do. I've narrowed it down to like location wise. I want to live in Chicago after I graduate. Um, well, I am from there, but I have no clue, and I'm going to be applying to jobs in the fall because kind of like what Corbin said. Once I graduate, I already want to have a plan of where I'm going to work. Most likely, kind of what you were talking about, the rotational programs. What a lot of companies are leaning towards recently are those rotational programs, as opposed to just here's a job. Whether that's going to be like a 2-year or 3-year rotational program, I don't know. It depends on the company and the industry I want to go into. But I'm just gonna kind of check out the job fairs, apply to a bunch of different places I like, and I'm gonna go from there. I have really nothing figured out right now, but that's okay. I don't. No one really expects you to, and if anyone else doesn't have anything figured out, that's fine. Like you don't have to have a plan. You can just go with the flow. So yeah.
Yeah, so part of me is kind of like torn between different roles within the sustainability field, whether it's consulting or nonprofit or corporate sustainability work. And then the other part of me just wants to say, fuck it, and go do the Peace Corps or volunteer for 2 years and just take some time off after school. And so I'm like really torn between those two in terms of going to work straight out of college or taking a couple of years off to travel more and just see more of the world, volunteer, maybe work away. So we'll see.
And earlier in the summer, we talked a bit about Peace Corps. Can you explain that part a bit to the viewers?
Yeah, so Peace Corps is essentially a function of the U.S. government where you're placed abroad for 2 years and you spend that time volunteering within a community and becoming a part of that community and giving back. There's also a pretty large network of other members of the Peace Corps, and so it's a cool opportunity to meet some other people while abroad. And you're allowed to kind of select, apply for different placements depending on your interests, both like geographically and vocationally.
And then last question for everyone is, what's one piece of advice after all this college stuff that you would give to it could be college or work. What's one piece of advice that you'd give someone that's in that position?
Okay. So I guess one piece of universal advice I would kind of give everyone is don't be afraid to kind of to go for it, to go push yourself for it, to go apply for that job that you don't think you have a chance of getting, apply for that school you don't have you feel like you don't have a chance of getting into, because you never know. Maybe someone will take a look at you and they say, "Man, I like this kid's drive. I like the way I like that they're coming up to me as a freshman in college, asking for internships that mostly juniors and seniors get." And we actually have a few underclassmen here at Conagra that I was surprised to see this wasn't even their first internship. This might have been their second or third internship, and they're a sophomore at actually another one of them goes to Texas A&M. So really don't be afraid to go out there. Go to that career fair. Don't be lazy. Go out there, actually go apply for jobs, go talk to people, get that experience in now. Don't wait till later. Get as much experience as you can while you can. And I think good things will happen. You'll get that experience. You'll be able to kind of work your way down the line, because once you reach that junior and senior year, these won't be the first career fairs, your first interviews, the first times you're talking to people. You will have already have gotten the jitters out kind of when you were a freshman, when you were a sophomore. So now that when you're a junior, senior, you know how to talk to people. You might have already established those connections if you're talking with recruiters, either casually or if you made it far down the line and they wanted to keep that connection going. Yeah, so I would just say go for it. That's my piece of advice.
Yeah. So kind of I'll go off of what Corbin said, and then I'll go into my own advice. So one thing that I did that I learned that helped me a lot was we have, at least on campus, we have two big kind of engineering-esque job fairs every year, one each semester. And 9 times out of like, well, 99 times out of 100, they are not looking for freshmen. They will turn you away. I still showed up every semester, and I went up to people who, because I think now it's you have to make an appointment, but I would go up to my freshman year was different, where you could just walk up to people and wait in line. But I would just go up to people who had nothing going on, and I was like, hey, like, can I talk to you? Can I like get a card, like something like that? Or like I have a practice like elevator pitch. Can I practice that? And like, can you give me pointers on that? And more than most of the time, a lot of the recruiters, even if it was nowhere near what the field I wanted to work in was, were willing to listen to me like, hey, yeah, this kid is just a freshman, doesn't know what he's doing. Let me try and help him out a little bit. And that actually helped get me my next year internship, which is kind of cool because the person recognized me and was like, hey, you're the kid that knew nothing. Like, let me talk to you. Which is kind of funny. But yeah, like it actually it helped out in a way, but it also like helped with my confidence because I mean, I'm stuttering a lot right now, and that happens a lot when I do public speaking. So kind of getting myself out there and talking to people and just kind of realizing that like, hey, like they're also people and that it's not as deep as other people make it out to be. And it really just drove up my confidence. And then my actual advice is kind of just, can I swear?
Yes.
I just like to go by the say fuck it, we ball. If people ask me to do something, I try not to say no unless I have something else going on. People ask me like, hey, you want to hang out or you want to go do something? I'm like, sure, why not? I have time. And it also helped a lot, like getting to know people because people are also getting to know you while you're trying to get to know them. Especially when you go to college, everyone's super open, everyone's super like easy to talk to. And they're not gonna say no if you're like, hey, you want to go get some like boba or some like drinks or something. So yeah, just kind of do as much as you can.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think my advice is kind of a good segue from Tiki's because people tell you, I'm sure you've heard it a million times, to network and meet people, but I think people are kind of intimidated by that because they think, oh, networking is I have to go talk to a manager or a professor or a boss or someone like higher up than me. No, it's just go talk to someone. Go talk to someone in a different major. See why they're majoring in that. Go talk to someone that's like interested in something that you think you might be interested in. It doesn't have to be someone like more impressive than you. It can just be a peer that's interested in something else that can give you like a valuable perspective or maybe like pique your interest in something you never really thought about. I know coming here, I never really considered food science, but I'm like, shit, maybe I need to go back to school and like take some food science classes. It's like, it's not even networking. It's not something you have to dress up and schedule a time for. It's just, if you see someone that you think looks cool, go talk to them and see what their life is about. Or if there's a club that you're like, maybe I'm interested in this, just find someone in it and talk to them and see if you can get involved. I think just meeting people and learning their stories can help you figure out what you're actually interested in.
Yeah, I definitely resonate with that. There is a lot of times where I did just meet people just indiscriminately. Like, I wasn't trying to do anything, but I'm definitely reaping the benefits of having all those different perspectives now. And especially it helped with getting used to that, meeting new people, going into the room and working that room, especially when you're in this environment and you might be the only intern in a company. Everyone else is 25, 26 plus, and you're 21 and under. You're just kind of, how do I navigate this? How do I talk to this person? Am I going up to the youngest person in the room or the oldest? You might want to go to the oldest because sometimes they're more nicer and accepting. Just like, the grandma vibes and all that. But yeah, definitely good advice from everyone. I think it'll help out anyone who's looking at college or work or internships. we're gonna wrap it up here. But I really appreciate you guys getting on.
Of course. All
Thanks
the
for having
socials.
us.
Yeah, happy to
Side
be here.
Coffee 22.
Yeah, it'll be in the description. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. And if you get any DMs from students asking for stuff, it wasn't me.
So so your audience is mostly like students.
Well, that's who it's geared toward.
Okay.
Students
Okay.
mostly.
Also,
Students are like young
Bird's,
employees.
Bird's
probably.
dad is
Okay.
a weekly listener.
Yeah. Like, actually, get you some more podcast subscribers. What's it on?
It's everywhere: YouTube, Spotify,
Where you can find
like
podcasts.
anywhere you could find a podcast plus YouTube.
Plus
Mm.
YouTube.
Yeah,
Okay.
Oh, is that where we get the film version?
exactly.
Gotcha. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Make sure to like,
Thank you.
subscribe.
Oh yeah, I actually
Smash
always
that
forget
like
that.
button.
Smash the like
Smash
button,
that like button.
like, subscribe, comment, share with your friends
Donate
if
on
they need
Twitch.
it.
PayPal him like $30.
There's a Patreon.
Subscribe to the Patreon.
There you go.
You get episodes early, I believe.
Is
I
that
wish. I haven't been on it. Actually, don't subscribe to the Patreon.
Maybe
I'll
don't
let you know on
subscribe.
Instagram if it ever gets published, but